Justice is a cold word. People search for it in courtrooms, in thick books bound by laws they don't understand. They think justice is about balance. They're wrong. Justice is about correction. A final, absolute correction. I found my justice in the sky. At 30,000 feet, in the final moments when steel screams. My name is Arthur King, and this is the manifesto of my will. It all started with the smell, the sharp, clean scent of jet fuel. For 20 years, I breathed it in every single morning. It was the smell of ambition, the smell of power. It meant that I, Arthur King, was in my kingdom. Apex Airlines wasn't just a job, it was my identity. I started as a boy, wiping grease from landing gear. I learned the soul of those machines. I knew them by their sounds, by the unique vibration of each engine. I rose through the ranks, Chief of Ground Operations. My signature was the final word before a bird took flight. My team, my responsibility, my pride. And Raymond Vance, he was supposed to be the king of that kingdom. He hired me. He saw my potential. You're the heart of this operation, Arthur, he used to say, clapping me on the shoulder. The blood and guts, I believed him. I believed in the structure, in loyalty. I believed that 20 years of flawless service built a shield around a man. I was wrong. A shield of loyalty is only as strong as the man holding it. The day my world ended, it didn't end with a bang. It ended with the hum of an air conditioner. It ended with the rustle of a single piece of paper. An accounting error, a discrepancy over cargo manifests. A few $1,000s that, in the grand scheme of a multi-million-dollar operation, was nothing more than a rounding error, but it had my name on it. I remember staring at the weave of his tie, a blue silk tie. I focused on it because I couldn't look at his face. He started talking about procedures, about breaches of trust. The words were corporate jargon, meaningless. A shield of his own. He finally looked up. Arthur, I'm sorry, he said. And that was the deepest insult, the pity in his eyes. He wasn't looking at his most loyal employee. He was looking at a problem to be solved, a loose end to be tied. I didn't shout. I didn't beg. To do so would be to prove him right, to show that I was a desperate man. In that moment, something inside me didn't break. To break, it would have needed to be war. It froze. My soul, my pride, my 20 years of sweat and loyalty, all of it turned to a solid block of ice. You'll need to turn in your security ID, he said, already looking back at his computer screen. Dismissed. I nodded. I stood up, turned, and walked out of the room. I remember the drive home. The world outside my car window seemed impossibly bright, impossibly normal. People were laughing, living. They didn't know a man had just been erased. When I walked through my front door, my wife looked at me. She saw the look on my face and her smile faded. What is it, Arthur? She asked. I couldn't speak. I just stood there, a ghost in my own home. My kingdom was gone. And in its place, a new purpose began to grow, a cold, clear purpose. For the next 2 months, I was the perfect phantom. I played the part of the broken man. My wife's sympathy was like a constant, gentle rain on a glacier, meaningless. She thought I was searching for jobs on the computer. I was, but not the kind she imagined. For the next 2 months, I was the perfect phantom. I played the part of the broken man. My wife's sympathy was like a constant, gentle rain on a glacier, meaningless. She thought I was searching for jobs on the computer. I was, but not the kind she imagined. My security credentials hadn't been deactivated yet. A typical oversight in a company that large, an oversight I knew they'd make. I logged into the company's internal network. And there it was, my old kingdom, still visible to me. I had access to everything, maintenance schedules, crew rosters, and flight manifests. That's when I found him, Raymond Vance, first Monday of every month. Flight 822, Chicago to DC, his routine, his predictable, comfortable routine. It was his weakness, and it would be my stage. The idea didn't come in a flash of rage. It came quietly, like the answer to a complex engineering problem. It was a matter of logistics, of finding the perfect, elegant solution. If my world had been destroyed, I would simply have to unmake his. I bought a gun, 1.44 Magnum. It felt heavy in my hand, not a weapon of passion. It was a tool, an instrument of correction. The cold steel felt like an extension of the ice in my veins. I would practice holding it in the garage, aiming at nothing, getting used to the weight of my new purpose. And I wrote the note. I must have written it 100 times. The words had to be perfect, not angry, not insane. They had to be calm, ironic, the words of a man who was not losing control, but taking it back. Hi Ray, I guess it's ironic we end up like this. The morning of the flight, I kissed my wife goodbye. I love you, she said. I love you too, I replied, and I meant it. My actions were not about destroying my love for her. They were about correcting the injustice that had been done to us. She saw a man going to another fake job interview. She didn't see the instrument of justice in my coat pocket. The airport was a blur of meaningless activity. Families going on vacation, businessmen rushing to meetings, they were all extras in my play. I moved through security with the quiet confidence of a man who belonged there. My old ID worked like a charm, a ghost in the machine. I saw him at the gate, reading a newspaper, sipping his coffee. The picture of a man without a care in the world. He had erased me from his life so completely, he didn't even consider I could still exist in his. The thought was almost amusing. As the plane climbed, I felt a strange sense of peace. I was leaving the world of their rules, their petty judgments. We were ascending into my world, a world of physics and consequences. A world where I made the rules. The seatbelt sign went off. It was time ... I stood up. I walked down the aisle. Each step was deliberate. I passed a mother calming her child. A young couple holding hands. They were not real to me. They were abstract concepts. Collateral. The only real thing in that cabin was my purpose. I reached his seat. 2A. He looked up from his magazine, and his eyes registered confusion, then shock. Then, finally, fear. That sequence, that beautiful, silent confession of his guilt. That was my reward. Arthur, he whispered ... I didn't answer with words. I answered with the nod. I handed it to him. As he read it, his face turned pale. He understood. I pulled the gun from my jacket. The gasps and screams around me were a distant echo. I fired once. Then, I walked to the cockpit. There was no rage in my steps, only purpose. The flight attendant who tried to stop me, I simply pushed her aside. This isn't about you, I told her. When the pilots opened the door, they saw the gun, not the man. They saw a threat, not a correction. I'm in control of this flight, I said. My voice was steady, and I pushed the yoke forward. As the nose of the plane tipped toward the earth, as the laws of physics took over, there was no chaos in my mind. There was only clarity. They had taken my kingdom, my name, my future. They had tried to make me small. But in these final moments, I was larger than all of them. I was a force of nature. This wasn't an act of destruction. It was an act of creation. I was creating a new, final, and perfect form of justice. The alarms were shrieking. The metal of the plane was groaning. But all I could feel was a profound silence. The ice inside me was finally melting, turning into a calm, quiet sea. They had taken my control away. So I showed them what absolute control truly means. I am Arthur Keane. And this was my final descent, my justice.